Give it up for Sean Mitchell, new member of the training team.
Hey, thank
Sean,
you.
welcome aboard, brother.
Thank you so much.
This is the Eagles, man.
Hello, Eagles. Hey. I'm so fired up to be here, number one. And it's kind of funny because today is a very special day for me. And the reason why is because, and the reason why I have so much personal sentiment is because literally about 5 years ago to the day, I was in my first training with Esty. And I had been in the business for only 3 weeks. I was working at a company called CM Heating in the Seattle area, Everett, Washington. And I was responsible for the sales, responsible for marketing, and responsible for our CSRs. And to be quite frank, I was terrified and I was excited all at the same time. But Esty, she began to teach us something. And she began to paint a picture. And she said, hey, listen, what I'm going to show you today, if you literally just listen and you do this process will paint the picture that you're looking for with your team. It's going to paint the picture that you're looking for in your community. And it's also going to paint the picture inevitably that you're looking for with yourself. And I literally, good news, I literally came into this business with the gift of ignorance. So I held on to what she said. I made that process permanent. And we all know something about process, right? We all have processes. Another word for process for us is habits, right? And the funny thing about habits is whether they're good or they're bad habits, there's this point where you don't have the habit, but the habit has you, right? And it's the same way when it comes to this process, this life-changing process that I'm so grateful for. The reason why I'm honored to be on stage in front of you here is not only because I'm honored by the fact that you have a dream. Many of you, how many of the businesses here actually started up just from scratch? How many of you business owners started from scratch? That's huge. And the thing that I know about each person here is you have this business and you're looking at not only your teams, but you're looking at CertainPath and you want to make sure that you have someone and you have alignment with people that are not only going to understand that this is your baby, that this is your business, but they're aligned with you. And when I say aligned, what I'm saying is they're going to protect your business. And not only are you looking for people that are going to protect your business, but they're also going to partner with you. Not only partner, but they're going to align with you to make sure that we propel. And so when it comes down to what happened as a result of my time, now this is my first time with this clicker. I'm going to see what happens here. Perfect. So as a result of partnering with the vision at CM Heating, that first year we went from 12 million to 22 million. Okay. Then I went into the field to live the example, and that year I did about 8.6, 8.7 million. And the truth is, I was upset because my real goal was to do 10 million. But I was working so much that I kind of got a little bit exhausted, and I ended up taking quite a bit of time off during the month of December. But here's the interesting thing about it. We're talking about this process and we're talking about what happens when we fall back and when we drift. But the interesting thing is I already saw it. I already knew what the cheat codes were because I started out as a sales manager. And so what I did is I said, hey, listen, number one, I'm jealous because I'm looking at my sales team and I'm seeing their paychecks come in. I'm signing their paychecks and I got jealous, and listen, I know you could blame me. I'm human, but I did. I got jealous. And so what I did is I said, you know what? I'm going to go over there. I want to break some records. And I remember the very first time I said to myself, you know what? This month, it was the month of March. I said, this month, I'm going to sell $1 million in installs, right? And I remember I just went up to my manager at the time, the one that we kind of did a swap. And I said, Michael, I'm going to sell $1 million this month. And I just needed to, declare it. But the reason why I knew I was going to sell that, and there was quite a few more months that I did that year. But the reason why I'm saying this is because it's all about following the process. It's about ensuring that this process has you, right? So then what happened afterwards? I went into private equity, and we were able to reproduce those same kinds of results with comfort advisors and service technicians across the nation. And the thing is, behind closed doors, underneath the surface, we're having conversations. I'm having conversations with the general managers and with the owners that aren't just about recorded revenue. These conversations are about the chronic concerns that keep coming up time and time again. And these questions go like this. If we were to take the top 2 producers out of our businesses for 30 days, what would happen with our revenue? Do we have a system, or do we have a business that depends on our superheroes? And when we do invest in training, does it take root, or do we just drift back within a few weeks, right? Because when we drift, our customers feel it. And if our customer experience is inconsistent, then here's the question: do we really have a marketing problem? And so what we notice is that the undercurrent here is a gap. And the gap is this: most of us, we don't have a training problem, we have a reinforcement problem. I said that with myself personally, as a person, I said, you know what, I'm going to become an algorithm. What would your business look like if you became an algorithm of excellence, an algorithm of follow through? What if you didn't have to worry about which tech you're going to send out, because you know that everyone is committed to protecting and partnering and propelling with you on your quest to fulfilling what it is that your dream can actually accomplish? Because here's the thing, what you do here, and the reason why I'm so proud to be a part of the home services community, is because many people don't understand the intimacy that we get. We're not just going into people's homes. These homes is kind of like their second child, or it is a child to them. There's so much that they're experiencing in their homes. And the only people that are traditionally invited in someone's home is what? Friends and family. So when your service technicians, when your comfort advisors are showing up in the home, it means something. They have an opportunity to position themselves as a friend, to position themselves as a family, not just get in, not just get out. I remember when I was at the University of Washington, and after graduating, everyone's going on, and I was thinking, okay, well, do I go to Ernst & Young? Do I go to Accenture? Do I do something like that? But the thing is, if people who are excited to chase after these decorated corporate positions understood what we have in the home services industry and the money that we not only get to make, but the contribution that we get to put into our communities, it would be game over. The fact that I was able to make almost $1 million in 1 year because I followed the process, not because I cared about myself, but because I cared for my customers. That is what makes the difference in home services. And that's something that we can't forget. And I just want to say thank you, every person in this room, because you are literally making significant strides and contributions in your community. Now, here's the thing, and that's huge. So here's the thing, when it comes to our gap, here's the thing, training. Training creates clarity. Reinforcement creates consistency, and that consistency is going to give us that predictable revenue. I love Kobe Bryant. I'm telling you right now, there's no motivational speaker that hits me more than Kobe Bryant. And the reason why is because when I'm listening to Kobe, I'm not listening to someone that's just giving me theory. I'm listening to someone that actually does it. And one of the things that he says is, you know what? Practice is all about just not getting it wrong, right? But when you dedicate yourself to your craft, it's about doing it so well that you can't get it wrong. And this is what I mean when I'm talking about this process and becoming an algorithm. I'm going to tell you the secret. The reason why I decided that I wanted to become an algorithm is because I knew that hard times were going to come. I knew that it was going to be, there's going to be a moment where I was sick, or I had drama with my family, right? We all know what's going on with life and how it could hit us like the waves that we're looking at outside. But I knew that if I had a process, then all of a sudden it would just become habit. And that's why by the end of it, I was closing at about 95%, because customers are looking for people that they could trust. Every customer has a problem. The question is, who's going to be the person that earns their business, earns the relationship? Now, here's the thing. We know this. You can't just stand on the mountain. You're either climbing it or you're slipping, right? We're either driving forward or we're drifting backwards. And we all know the cost of drift. The cost of drift is this. Number one, it kills our close rate. Why? When we're drifting, why, Sean? Why is it killing our close rate? All right, like, are you just giving me platitudes? What does this mean? The reason why it's killing our close rate is because all of a sudden we go to the training with Esty and we get all fired up, we get all excited, and then, you know what? This one, I'm just going to skip this step. You know what? I'm not going to be as intentional with this one. You know what? I don't know. I don't know if I'm just going to do what it takes to present the value so that I'm able to earn this person's business and create the urgency necessary. And all of a sudden, we start to slip back. I'm telling you right now, because not only did I see it as a manager, but there were times where I was even tempted to do it. But I saw what happened to other people that fell for that same trick that life gives us. The next thing is our average tickets shrink. Well, why? So the reason why our average tickets are shrinking is because the value that we're giving our customers, if it's not more or worth more than the money that they have in their pocket, they're not going to make the exchange. I'm going to say that again. The reason why our average tickets are slipping is because what we're doing is we're racing to the bottom and we're looking at what our competitors are doing. So if I'm not building the value, if we're not building the value so that the customers can understand, oh my goodness, I see why I need that. I understand the nuances. Yes, this is a custom fit for me, for my family, and for my situation. If they don't see that, then all of a sudden we're dead. Now all of a sudden what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how we can lower our tickets so that we can earn their business. And again, it becomes a race to the bottom. At least I beat this competitor. The other thing is, we have increased cancellations. Why? We have increased cancellations because we don't have the trust, right? Trust, value, urgency. Even after we make the deal, even after we dropped all the way to the point where we have slim margins, now we have increased cancellations. And then we have poor reviews and poor referrals. And then now all of a sudden our culture and our confidence gets weak and it becomes this vicious cycle that just flushes everything all the way down the toilet. And that is not what we're here for. We're here because we're here to turn that vicious cycle into a virtuous one. And that's the reason why you're eagles, because you know how to implement the virtuous cycle so that you can soar. Now, what is it that causes the revenue drift? Of course, you have the businesses that are depending on superheroes. We have training that fades. Why is training fading? It's because we just left the month of January, right? How many of us had New Year's resolutions? The gyms are packed in January, right? But so we know that the training works, but the problem is the reason why we're not all out on the beach with our six packs and all that stuff is because we're not reinforcing it, right? And so we're seeing the same thing happen with our teams where we start out well when we come back from a training, but again, no reinforcement loop. And then here's the thing. If our customer experience is inconsistent, then our business is inconsistent. And so this is the other issue that's causing our revenue drift. Now, superheroes. I have to tell you that I'm standing in front of you guilty, Your Honor. And the reason why I'm saying this is because in 2023, I believe it was, while I was a comfort advisor, CM Heating went up for sale. And John Giacomi, one of my mentors, he said, Sean, we were really surprised when we started speaking to all these different private equity companies. And they told us, each one of them, besides one, told us that our biggest threat and our biggest weakness. I'm like, yeah, well, what is it, Sean? Tell me. It's you. What? Dude, I'm over here busting my tail. I'm over here trying to be the algorithm. I'm over here doing what I can to make sure that I show everyone that this process that we learned at CertainPath works. And now you're telling me that I'm the freaking weakness? What are you talking about? Sean, you're 26% of our revenue. We're a $33 million business. And the problem is, if you leave, there goes 26%. And that is a threat to these private equity companies. And you know what? The reality is he was right. And it made me sick to my stomach because I was responsible for that sales team a year prior. And if we're reinforcing, then it wouldn't just be dependent on one believer. And the thing is, you have a dream, you're a believer, and I believe that we can make a difference if everyone in your company also becomes a believer and they buy in. Because here's the thing, the process works. And we don't have to go through the close rate strings. It's the swings and the average tickets that fall. And here's the other thing. I know of owners that have sleep deprivation. And the reason why is because they're so focused on what's going on. They're glued to their company. And the reason they're glued is because that system, they don't have trust in the system. Maybe they have trust in the system, but do they have trust in the people that are supporting this system? And then the training that are fading. The reason why training is fading is, of course, remember, we can't stand on the mountain. We're either going to elevate or we're going to decline. And this is what happens so many times. How many of us know that feeling when we send our people to Addison, Texas, and we're like, yes, get the training. And then they get it and they're excited. And then they slide down. How many of us know that feeling? So this is what happens. And again, it happens to all of us, but this is where lift becomes drift. And then we feel like, well, what the heck? What the heck? You know what? I'm going to get on the phone with Sonia. I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to say, I don't know if this is working. This don't make no sense, right? Because I feel like I'm wasting my spend. And then our teams are losing confidence. And then when we have an inconsistent customer experience, our cancellations rise, our referrals drop, and then our ratings are fading. Marketing feels broken, and then we have this vicious cycle, somebody say vicious cycle, where we have escalations, callbacks, and then the discounts increase. And this is why I am here. I'm so honored to be a part of this team. And the reason why I'm honored to be a part of CertainPath is because I have to be honest, CertainPath literally changed my life. 100%. And it didn't just change my life with the principles, the practices, and the promises that we get to bring to our communities, but it also changed my friend's life and other people that I hired. So I knew that what we had was special. And was it that CM Heating was special? I think so. I think that we're a special group. But it was the adherence to everything that we've learned at CertainPath that brought us to that level. And I was so confident that I wouldn't just wait for another technician to come. What I would do is I would literally go to a personal trainer from 24 Hour Fitness, and I would say, listen, you have something special. Want to make $300,000 a year? Say, hey, listen to this other person that's in a completely different industry. You know why I could take anybody? It's because it's a process. It's a process. Yeah, you get the product knowledge and all that stuff out the way, but it's a process. It's about getting the right people on the right seats of the bus. So here's the thing. This is how we end the Revenue Descent with this program that I'm excited to partner with you on, and it's this. We are focused on standards. It's a repeatable path where we are able to ensure that we're staying consistent. Also, we are turning our managers into revenue drivers. Each one of us knows what it's like to be a general manager and to say, oh my gosh, my sales team, that's my baby. That's my baby. Don't touch my baby. And the reason why is because your business, it feels like if we're not careful, it lives and it dies with our sales teams. And the biggest concern there is, well, what do I do if I'm not managing it? Well, we have to have a sales driver. Our managers need to become those drivers. And when you think of a driver, what do you think of? This is what a driver does. Number one, 3 things. Number one, a driver knows the destination. Remember when I was saying partnering with you on your vision? Driver knows the destination. Number 2, the driver knows how to get there. But number 3, even the most important, they have the capacity to take others with them. And that's what this is all about. It's about ensuring that we reinforce this. It's making sure that this process becomes more than a practice, it just becomes permanent within our nature. The next part on this, training fades. Listen, training is knowing, reinforcing is doing. And so this is where we get that traction to ensure that things don't fade. And listen, the reason why things fade is not because our people are bad, but it's because life is undefeated. Calendars get heavy, right? And before we know it, we start slipping back into what's going on in life instead of sticking with the winning routines. And that's why it's so important to focus on our training. And listen, our names within our community is what makes all the difference. And so it's important because customers do not feel our intentions. They feel our consistency. And so sometimes I don't want to go to the gym. This morning at 7 o'clock, I didn't want to go to the gym, but I knew that the only way that I can get to where I want to be physically is if I continue to go through what I need to go through rhythmically. And so this is why we want to ensure that with our customers that we're staying focused and we're building that reputation so that we can absolutely annihilate our competitors. Now, with Revenue Ascent, this program that I'm excited to represent and to partner with you on, this is not a product class. This is people and product and process reinforcement, but this is not a product class, even though we do talk about different formats across each one of our industries here. And the interesting part about this, when I was sitting down with Rebecca, Abigail, and Carl, we were talking about what it would look like to serve you in a way that was all-encompassing. Because we all have this experience where it's not just one department, it's not just one person. So we're serving 4 different layers of your business. We're serving your comfort advisors, we're serving your service technicians, your service and sales managers. And you know what? We're serving you because I hold myself accountable to your success. I hold myself accountable to your results because that's what this is about. And I believe that if we're truly going to make the world, if we're going to make our nation, if we're going to make our states, if we're going to make our communities a better place, it starts in the home. And that's the area that we get to serve. Now, what are we solving for when we're working with our comfort advisors? Well, we know that we have the close rates that are swinging, right? Average tickets that are dropping. And when the average tickets drop, it's so funny. All of a sudden, the confidence drops, and then our cancellations are rising. How are we going to fix that? Simple. What we're doing is we're creating urgency that's rooted in our customers' reasons. This is why it's so important to listen to our customers, right? I was talking to someone and they said something that's very powerful. They said, you know what? You'll never listen your way out of a sale. It's easy to talk your way out of a sale, but you'll never listen your way out of a sale. And by asking these right questions, for example, talk to me about who in the home suffers from allergies, asthma, or cold problems, right? Talk to me about those uncomfortable hot or cold spots. Really? How long has this problem been going on? These questions show concern, they show intentions, but most importantly, they give you the information necessary to navigate to the solution that's truly going to be the win. Because this is what's going to happen. Whenever your people show up at a customer's home, somebody's going to get closed. Either the customer is going to close your person based on their conviction that they're not ready to move, or your person is going to have so much conviction that it's going to become contagious and your customer is going to get closed. Someone's going to get closed. The question is who? And I know this for a fact because I've lived it for a year. The other thing in terms of the average ticket, value stacking through the process. Sometimes it's not just about what you hear, but it's about what you see and it's about what you feel. So many times I've closed, and I feel so weird when I say, close the customer, bam, no, body slam, no. What I did is I earned a relationship on behalf of the company. How about that, right? And what happens is so many times they would say, you know what, Sean, 5 minutes, Lord Jesus. They would say, you know what, Sean, the reason why we decided to go with you is because the other person didn't do a heat load calculation. The other company, they didn't go into my attic. The other person, they didn't even go into my crawl space. And so we're value stacking. And this is where trust holds confidence that stacks. That's how we stop the cancellations, because we have the trust. When it comes to our technicians, I was with so many different technicians out on the field, and it seems like they're so focused. Sometimes we as technicians could be so focused on building the relationship with the furnace or building the relationship with the electrical panel that we forget to build the relationship with the customer. Also, how many of us have heard our service technicians talk about how selling is the bad word? I don't want to be a salesman. I want to be a salesman, because they correlate salesy with sleazy. But what we're doing is we're showing them that no, selling is helping. Also, selling from their pocket, oh my gosh, this looks like it's so expensive, instead of selling for the profit of the customer. That's why we reinforce. Again, these are things that we already knew, but if we remember, training is knowing, reinforcing is doing. And so this is where we have that people first discovery instead of the product talk drudgery. And then we're showing and explaining options and letting that be the next step towards the agreement. So we just make sure that we're following those steps along the way. And also, we are presenting value without predicting the budgets. And with our managers, becoming dashboard watchers more than revenue drivers. That's one of the biggest pains that I'm hearing and that we're hearing from so many of our owners and so many of our general managers. And then putting out fires instead of developing our people. They're expected to lead, or this is what I'm hearing from some of our sales managers and our service managers. Sean, I feel like I'm expected to lead, but I don't have a roadmap. How do I lead without the roadmap? Well, this is how we fix that. We turn your managers into sales drivers, right? Instead of weather reporters. Also, coaching cadence that turns data into action. So this is where we come alongside them to make sure that we're able to help them navigate through their challenges. And then finally, manager huddles where we're able to work with each other across the nation and understand that we're not alone. The biggest lie when it comes to isolation and feeling down is that we're alone in that. So we have our managers huddles, call reviews, and then also coaching step by step. And listen, your coaching and your experience doesn't have to depend on peak players. It doesn't have to be don't touch my sales team. You don't have to lose sleep at night anymore because of all these escalations that won't quit. Because what we're here to do and what I'm committed to, and with Revenue Ascent, it's all about process excellence that replaces the player expectance. Also, reinforcement that raises revenue on repeat, and proficiency that protects revenue and reputation, because your reputation is truly all you have. Now, these right here are some of the different things that we're looking at. Well, I mean, this would be a training, if you will, different titles, and I'm just going to talk about one for the sake of time. Heart first, being sold before selling. This is all about having a goal. This is all about selling your business, but for their reasons. And this is the reason why your salespeople and your services and your solutions become contagious. Because what we're doing is we're starting with heart. Also, just so you can see the cadence of how we're going to be moving and navigating, I'm committed. We're committed to you. So weekly with your comfort advisors, weekly calls with your service technicians. This cadence is real. The practice will make perfect as long as we practice it. It'll work if we work it. And then every other week, we'll have huddles with your service and sales managers. And then, of course, reporting back to you. But this, if all that wasn't enough, this is what changes the experience from any other experience that exists. And what that is dynamic coaching. Because instead of being reactive, we get to be proactive. Instead of being repairers, we get to be prepared. Because finally, I was able to convince Mrs. Rebecca Castle that we can, oh my gosh, I feel so excited right now. I'm trying to put it together. What we're doing is we're giving each person or each company that is a part of this 5 seats for our AI field coach. Essentially, what this means is now we'll be able to listen in real time. We'll be able to see what's going on with our comfort advisors. We'll be able to monitor our calls, and we'll be able to know exactly what we need to be prepared for on our next call. And we don't have to wait for them to bring up the issue. We're already able to talk about it, and we're able to correct, and we're able to be dynamic. So this is what changes everything about this. It turns it from just being okay, what do we do next, to being a dynamic training. So what I need from you, for everyone that gets to be a part of this, because unfortunately the number and the volume of seats is very limited, I just need to make sure that everyone is bought in. We need all of your people to show up so that you can see the results that you're looking for. Now, this is the promise. With this program, this is where practice becomes process, process becomes permanent. Because excellence doesn't need to depend on our superheroes. Excellence simply needs to become our standard. And this is why I just want to say thank you again for everything that you are doing in your communities. It makes a world of difference, and we're excited to join you with Revenue Ascent. Thank you so much, everyone.
Hey, Sean, real quick. Real quick. I look like an old man coming up those steps. Hey, this is for all trades, right?
This is for all trades.
All trades.
100%.
So we're comfort advisors, any sales reps?
Yeah, roofing, electrical,
yes, okay. I just want to make sure.
HVAC, that's my baby too.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Give it up for Sean. Thank you.